This is the culvert at the bottom of Hidden Canyon. It shows a lot of water on the trail. So coming up to the first diversion that we built as part of fixing the trails here. See, this is still pretty wet, but it's not coming from uphill anymore. That's great. And here we can see definitely our little diversion did its job. And we can also see why building these bigger is kind of a thing, because they get pushed around when it's wet and they're used to hikers stepping on it, riders using it. Yeah, that's great. It worked. So this is an old diversion, old gray reversal actually. You can see how close the water is here to overtopping that. So as this gets worn down over time, it's going to wind up putting this water on the trail. So we want to make sure that that guy continues to do his job down here. So coming up on the second diversion here, you can see how much water is accumulating on the trail, even below this diversion. So looking at it, the water's appearing almost like it's out of a spring here when it's going. And not coming from above this location anymore. That water got diverted. And you can see how much there is. You can see how our channel works. Great. Coming up on the third diversion, this kind of boggy section of the trail here. See, we are actually running water off the trail. And you can see where it's coming down the trail currently. This one needs to be repaired and enlarged. But you can see we stopped all of this water flow that was coming down the trail and staying on the trail through this off. So this is not dry, but it's not running, there's no running water on it. I'm just above that little diversion there, and there's a downed tree. So I'm up above that boggy section now, coming into the last diversion that we put. And you can see down here, it's been far enough from the last diversion that the water's running. Like it's not fast and there's not a lot of it. As we get closer to the diversion, that's not true anymore. This water's not really running. You can see runnels where it has, but for the most part, all it's doing is capturing the sheeting off this. It's not running down the trail anymore. And you can see where this long grade reversal into this diversion has done its job. There's sediment in here now. Our little basin for letting this water get dissipated back into the grade is working. And then the work that I did down here to take that water and push it off the trail off the side of the trail into the creek is working, because there's no re-entrance of this water down here, which is what was happening before. Because it was coming back into the trail right here. So it's all working. So kind of another view of this. Our water continues to run off the trail here, and you can see it is still running this location. All this would still be running down the trail. We're just up from that, and here's another place just like that one down there. There's kind of a natural diversion, or even one that was put in at some point years ago. You can see where it had cut down through here, but this would be another like kind of logical natural place to put another on this trail, as it's not blind. It seems like it's far enough down the trail from the bridge in the last diversion that some water is accumulating and definitely staying on the trail. So up a little higher here, and exactly the same thing. Sediment on the trail that got washed down from a lot of water movement coming from up the trail, and that diversion that's moved it off there should be duplicated at a minimum right here, so that this water and the water that's coming down this channel gets diverted into a little side creek ditch that's here. And you can just see in this rainstorm how clean all the rocks in the water path look. It's all soil that will not be returning to this trail. So we definitely need to work out some diversions for this water up further. You see it's cutting further and further into the trail. Here we're almost to the junction between Finch, Upper Creek, and Canyon Creek, and you can see how a lot of water flowed through this rainstorm, and it's cut this deeper just in one storm. So we need to get this water that's coming from that basin up there off the trail at this location and into the bushes over here, and then down below this section do the same thing, get it to cross the right direction so it doesn't keep cutting down lower. So this is the new closed line at the top of Upper Creek. And you can see where there was once a big old rut of water that came down this trail and emptied here, that it's completely gone. There's no drainage coming down this trail anymore at all. It's fantastic work. And then you can see over here all this sediment that's gotten deposited this storm. I'm walking down Canyon Creek now from the conjunction up there, and you can see there's this running water starting to stand here. I'm down maybe 150 feet or so from the conjunction around the corner, and as we come down this further, it's picking up in volume a little bit, and it needs to be diverted off the trail right here at a minimum, so it doesn't continue to pick up volume and momentum as it reaches the steeper part of the trail here. And you can see now it's actually running water, and it's all depositing down here in this corner. And it's all the way past this corner before this water gets diverted off the trail. And here you can see it's cutting down into the trail tread here some more. Now that same stream of water comes down, meets with all the water that's flowing from up above in these ruts. And now there's quite a lot of water on the trail right here, and it should be diverted off instead of being allowed to run down to that little diversion there. And then this little diversion, you can see how big it used to be. This whole hump here was put here to channel water. But they get ridden down. This thing's maybe a season or two away from being overtopped and just becoming another rut. This is just above the new work that's done towards the bottom of Canyon Creek. And it's a good example of what that was doing before we made the changes. You can see that there's been a lot of water movement on this that's drained off because it's so steep. But definitely it's moved sediment or moved soil off of this section down the trail. You can see the runnels, the new runnels that are coming down this. So this is coming into the new work at the top of Canyon Creek, and you can see there's been a lot more water action on this storm than it currently shows as water standing on the trail, because it's a little steep here. I think it's drained off a bunch. But all of this was running straight down the trail. And you can see that as we're coming up to the new work, how this diversion has started to push that off to the side. Great. Probably use a little work here to protect this area from continuing to erode. But now, no real water action below this. So we're nice and protected. And you can see where it started to pick up some momentum here, where the trail's a little cleaner. The rocks, some sediment that got deposited in a high point here, and a little diversion doing its job perfectly for at least a few seasons. Yeah, that is. And again, no running water action right below this, but you can see where it starts to pick up. It's collecting the sheeting water off this hillside here, and another of our little diversions pushing that off the trail. Now, same thing here. As we go down, you can just see that like that strategy works really well. This trail is going to be nice and durable. And at most, we're getting a little bit deposited down here. It's kind of operating as a natural diversion. And you can see where water's getting pushed off at the bottom of this trail now. The whole thing's just fantastic. And this is coming into the last section of new work on Upper Creek. And you can see this water that still is kind of running down this, that cleaned off those rocks up above, used to come down into this U-shaped hole in the trail that ran all the way down. And you can see just changing the grade and opening up this shoulder moved that off so that it can sheet. Now there's some water on the trail, but it's mostly puddles of water. It's not water that's moving down the trail for the most part. And you can see one last diversion as this picked up momentum, came off the trail there, being forced off the trail here. Just a lot better situation for the trail. And the last corner, big corner, coming down Canyon Creek, see water's kind of started to accumulate and run down this into the sort of finishing trail. It's turned into a big rut, but mostly it's coming from Raccoon Run. You can see that water came running down here, and now below this, all of this is becoming gravel, and nobody wants to walk in gravel, so the trail is just getting wider and wider as people do exactly what I'm doing and avoid walking in the rough stuff. And looking back up that same section, if there's any doubt that a lot of material is being moved off the trail, just look at this sediment that's depositing down here Once it flattens out, it slows down.